right. Very well, thanks for dropping by. Off you go.
In a move that's going to affect 300 people in a cost-cutting measure, Lucasfilm is closing their Singapore VFX office and animation studio after 2 decades. George opened it up about 20 years ago, and what they're doing is they're offering the employees a chance to relocate to London or somewhere else, or a chance to get other jobs within the same field in Singapore itself through a job fair, etc. And this is a cost-cutting measure because Disney has to cut labor costs. And when you're looking at the books of any company, your biggest cost, outgoing cost, is labor, is your payroll. So what Lucasfilm decided to do was they decided to consolidate their VFX studios. And Singapore is one that is getting shut down, basically. But this, with all the other changes coming, this is one of the things that has to be done. Okay, it's sad. I think it should just be on the content creator side, which would be the story group, but their time is coming soon. When I look at ILM, this is the star, this is the diamond that no matter how badly Kennedy's stories performed, ILM always came through with great special effects. So this is kind of sad, but it's again indicative of not just Lucasfilm's place in the world right now, but Disney's place in the world, and in fact, Hollywood's place in the world. When you have the star of The Flash calling most Hollywood movies garbage, that says a lot. When you've got mediocrities like these two clowns trying to fit into the shoes of George Lucas and Steven Spielberg, etc., it says a lot about when Hollywood interns tell Matt Bellany that they've been told by their bosses that it's a long, hard slog to get from an F grade movie to a C grade movie. Okay, and the reason why is because mediocre writers, I would say that a lot of the people that were driving the strike, the Dirty 30 or whatever they call them, most of them are not good writers. All right, most of them, with the exceptions of people like Taylor Sheridan, are not good writers. They're not. And this is where the story of a movie gets made or killed. I mean, look, Indiana Jones 5 could have been one of the great Indiana Jones movies had they had a better story arc. Had they done more thinking about, are we going to do a backwards character arc or a, front or a character arc that carries him from the lowest point to his redemption, which is, they did it the opposite way. Okay. And there really was no redemption in that show until the very end. And I think that's what's hurt Indy 5. And I'm not saying anything wrong against James Mangold, but when he came in, probably to try to polish a turd, and of course, Kennedy's need to erase Indiana Jones and all of the men in all of George's movies and franchises. It's poor story writing, because no matter how well you can do special effects, if the story isn't there, you're not going to have a movie. And Steven Spielberg would say that, George would say that, John Milius would say that, Francis Ford Coppola would say that, Michael Arndt would say that, Taylor Sheridan would say that. Where a good movie starts, where a good TV series starts, is the story. And you have to get the story right before you can even begin a script. And really, that really is all that you need to do. And it really shouldn't be that difficult. But for activists at Lucasfilm, it's been difficult.
The time has come. Execute Order 66.
Now imagine the world without the Acolyte. Okay, imagine that. Okay, because had Hedlund not been dragged into Lucasfilm, we may have the Singapore studios. Okay, you think about it. The activists Kennedy hired, Hedlund, Pablo Hidalgo, Pablo's stupid wife, Matt Martin, all of them, Rain Roberts, BLM, I'm sure, all of these people contributed to, I think, probably a lot of cutting down on costs and cutting back on the payroll because of spending money they didn't have, frivolously using the company credit card for things they weren't supposed to use it for. Basically stealing from Disney without any regard to what that meant. This is what happens when you have a bunch of young people and millennials without any idea of thou shalt not steal, without any moral compass, led by an angry activist female like Kathleen Kennedy. And when you look at Indiana Jones, for instance, the way it starts out, he's down and out, he is living in an apartment he doesn't keep clean, he's a drunk by himself. This is Luke Skywalker all over again. Okay, but she has to cut the men down to uplift the women, which is not how you fucking do things. You know, I had a conversation the other day with a couple of women who, one was bragging about how she always made sure her husband was in the background. And I thought, what a shitty thing to do to your husband. What a shitty fucking thing to do. This is the Kathleen Kennedy attitude. Okay, and look what it's done to these venerable franchises, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Willow, Mad Mardigan as a drunk who runs off after getting his, what's-her-face pregnant, Han Solo, drunk deadbeat dad, Luke Skywalker, can't face himself and his mistakes, so he hides on an island waiting to die. We got Indiana Jones. I mean, this is the attitude that feminism has given people like Kennedy, Superiority complex. No, you're not. You're as equal. You're not as superior. Okay? When people say shit like that to me, and I have to bite my tongue, and I had to, it makes me furious. And if you try to have a discussion with them on what that actually means, they look, having a discussion with a mentally ill feminist, you might as well have a discussion with a donkey or a 5-year-old. Okay, they don't understand the debate, and they don't understand where they're wrong. Okay, and again, this is where Kennedy's philosophy has led Lucasfilm, having to close the ILM VFX office. Okay, division. 300 people either being relocated or laid off and having to find new jobs. Now, again, Disney and Lucasfilm are going to help those people either by relocating to a different, London. I think they have an office in Tokyo, or, find them jobs in Singapore with another studio, or even in another field, that needs their expertise. Okay. I look at where Lucasfilm has been it's now coming on 11 years in October. And it's stunning to me how badly it's fallen. And yet, we still have morons on Inside the Magic Kingdom squawking about the Rey movie and that stupid Star Wars Outlaw game, linking to the sequels. The sequels are dead, okay? You'll never see the sequels ever be mentioned in any way, shape, or form as being valuable to the brand again, okay? Despite the Ahsoka mini doc that they had out there where they're showing Rey being quote unquote mentored by Luke. First off, I'm going to quote Mazurus. Luke was never her goddamn mentor. He was never her master, and she was never his apprentice. Okay, ever. They did not have that relationship. And then Dave Filoni making a subtle swipe at J.J. Abrams and Ruin Johnson about the shitty Star Wars, or the shitty lightsaber choreography in the sequels. I mean, Rey looks like she's swinging the bat like Babe Ruth. Okay? You need lightsaber fights that look like these people have used them before. Okay? Not two kids out in the yard playing with their toy lightsabers at the age of 10. Because that's what that looked like. All right? And Filoni made a swipe at it. Okay? These are the things that need to change. Because until they do change, we are going to see other people from divisions of Lucasfilm who were not part of writing the stories getting fucked over by the people who wrote the stories, even if the people who wrote the stories are fired too. Okay? It's like you have a bad apple in a bin, like if you have a bad tomato, it's covered with fuzz when you open up the package. All right, throw the whole bin away because it's all gross. You can't eat them. And that's what's happening with Lucasfilm right now. Okay, you're seeing people who had nothing to do with the sequel trilogy being screwed over by people who wrote the sequel trilogy, who wrote the stupid comic books, who wrote the High Republic. That's wrong. And that's Kathleen Kennedy's fault. And there you go. This is Steph signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.